So we're very pleased to have Samantha Patel with us today. Welcome, Samantha, and thank you for agreeing to participate in our project.
Thank you for
Uh,
having me.
you're more than welcome. We always start off, we ask the same questions to everyone, regardless of their background, their location, etc. And we always start off with some background questions just for context. So I'd like to start off by asking you where your parents were born.
So my mom was born in Kenya, but she's also mixed. Her father was from Britain, and
Mhm.
her mom was Kenyan. So it was my grandfather was a traveling person. I met my grandmother. But my mom was born in Kenya, and my dad is from India.
Okay.
So very mixed
And where
culture.
were you born?
I'm born here in Montreal, in Quebec.
Okay.
So I'm born and raised here my whole life.
Okay. And where did you receive your education? Elementary, secondary, any post-secondary?
Everything here in Quebec, Montreal. I've never really I've traveled, but like I've never traveled outside for school.
Okay. And what is your current occupation?
So currently I own and run I should say, or coordinate a children's programming company with a colleague of mine. We direct programs and we do extracurricular activities, educational and both recreational programs for children. I am also a full-time volunteer at my daughter's elementary school. I've been president of the Home and School Association here for the past 7, 8 years now. So a lot of
Okay.
different things.
And where do you live now?
I live here in Côte-Saint-Luc in Montreal. Côte-Saint-Luc, Quebec. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And now we're kind of get into the meat of what I call the meat of the matter anyway. And these are questions concerning your experience living in Quebec today. So I'll start out with, what is the best thing in your experience about living in Quebec?
The best thing about living in Quebec, I think, is in my experience, what I've had is up until now, without all the politics that are going now, but uh, it's very diverse. And I like the fact that I have freedom to choose and be who I want to be, or allow my children to be who they want to be. Like, I don't have to worry about like a certain culture or religion or, like methods being implemented and having to follow them. Like, I can become who I want to be. I think I have freedom of that. Also being able to have a lot of my rights, because I know in certain countries, my parents grew up very differently in their cultures, and it's very, very different when I was being raised when I was young. So I really enjoyed that a lot. And also because I get to meet so many different types of people and not just one type of person. And also the work experience and education experience I get here. It's free. So it's nice.
Okay. Now, the next question, a lot of people have had trouble with it, and certainly if I was asked, I would too. But I'm going to ask you to respond to the question as worded, but you're free to elaborate on your response in any way you care to. So, having said that, describe your relationship to Quebec in a single word.
Ah, a single word. Interesting. I don't know. That's hard. In one word. Um, belonging, I would say. I feel like I belong. So it's my home.
Mhm. And where do you feel most at home in Quebec? For example, in communities based on language, culture, profession, or geographic location?
Um, I would say, sorry, I'm gonna make,
Do you want me to repeat the
yes,
question?
please. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, that's fine. No, it's fine, fine. Where do you feel most at home in Quebec? For example, in communities based on language, culture, profession, or geographic location?
I think here, because in Quebec, I feel, I don't know, that's a tough question. Um, I mean, I feel like I belong in in a little bit of every part of it because I'm connected to everything of it. But if I feel like mm, my home is Quebec, so I would say maybe geographic location because it is where I am raised and I've never really experienced anything outside of Quebec to say. So I would say geographic.
Okay. Now, again, the next question, I'm going to preface it by telling you it's a two-part question. And the second part, people say to me, well, Dave, what do you mean by official definition in Quebec? And what I mean by that, or what the question is phrased to mean, is your perception of what the official definition in Quebec. It could be based on the Quebec government's definition, the federal government's definition, what you see in the media, what people are talking about amongst your peers. So having said that, I'll ask the two-part question, and you can respond as you see fit. How would you define a Quebecer? And do you think the official definition in Quebec includes you?
Okay. So the first part of the question, what I think is a Quebecer, I try not to define. I personally don't like to define saying I am a Quebecer because I think I'm part of like a larger community. Yes, for me to say a Quebecer could being defined as a Quebecer would be having somebody who lives in the province of Quebec and being able to have a connection to a lot of if I look political and government wise, having a lot of opportunities to, when we looked at the rights of people, we look at, having diversity, we look at having, we're not in wars and things like that. So like, it's nice. We have homes, we have culture. So to me, a Quebecer it's like saying I'm a specific person. I wouldn't define it as being. I don't like the label of saying I'm a Quebecer. I don't think I ever used that as a term. People say, "Well, where are you from?" And I'll say I'm Canadian because I think I'm part of a larger community and that I belong in this community. I'm not defined as. I don't think it should exist as a Quebecer. I think that's more like being isolated. So I don't really like that part so much. And your second part of the question was
Do you think the official definition in Quebec includes you?
right now, I think if I was saying right in this moment with everything that's going on, I feel there is some separation coming to it. I don't feel like with all this thing about, the language laws and the multicultural laws and being, the refugee status, this status, all the different things that they're changing regarding the human language rights and even like not being able to wear a hijab or a cross on my neck because I am Christian, my culture, religion. I do feel like there is some kind of like a gap starting to come in that sense of saying like, if this happens, where am I going to fit? Or where do my children fit? Because they're more diverse than I am, right? So like, where are they going to fit? The education section is starting to become a little bit more concerning because will my kids benefit properly if they stay here and remain in school? Or am I going to have to find a different location for them? So there is a lot more questions now, and I think more concerns about like, is this going to be a place where I'm now going to have to find like myself or anybody, I would say, to have to find a relocation who are in the same position as I am. So right now, I would say like I feel like there is a gap coming and not sure where we're going to fit once we have all the answers to it, right?
Okay, that leads us into our next question, which is, has your sense of identity as a Quebecer changed over the years? And if so, in what ways?
I always, like I said before, I never labeled myself as a one person. I think I've always been some type of a minority in Quebec because I am of color and my religion is different before I became a Christian. And, have I had my roadblocks growing up about who I am and where I fit? Absolutely. It was, not everybody accepts you for who you are. And even sometimes now I still get that question. Oh, you're so-and-so, like you're behind the the wall or the email that I've been talking to, they're surprised. So you get that. And sometimes I'm like, yes, I am. Like, why? Like, should it be somebody different? So do I get those roadblocks a lot? Yes. Am I concerned that I will have more of that coming? Absolutely. So, it's a I don't like to make myself feel different, and I don't like to think of myself or anybody making, me feel different or making myself belong. I want to belong. I do feel that my self-identity is important, right? So, I will always believe who I am, but it is tough. It's not always an easy road. Definitely not an easy road.
Okay. What do you find are some of the most difficult things about living in Quebec?
Um, I think what I find difficult is that there's not a lot of opportunities for like more um, people who come from, like if you're just starting here in Quebec, like refugees, immigrants, um, finding more social assistance for families that need it, resources for them, type of thing. Um, I find the government focuses a lot on the bigger pictures, and I think they leave out a certain gap of people in that community, whether it be from education wise or to living standards, having proper homes, tools that they need. Children need tools in their, going to school and having resources available to them. Not everybody can afford laptops. Not everybody can have internet services in their homes. And I think the government needs to feel like that should be a little bit more like the lower, not so much just the lower community, but like from medium and below, where larger families need more assistance. Also finding jobs for these types of people and not just saying, well, you have to do this or do that. And if you don't have this, you can't get a job. I think focuses should be more on that kind of stuff than just, you know, sorry, I can't wear my, I think we should just be French or English or, like this and that. I think there are more things that are important in the world than just the silliness that's going on.
Okay. Now, in recent years, members of Quebec's Francophone majority have identified a number of linguistic and cultural threats. Which of these concerns do you share and support, and which of these concerns make you feel excluded or targeted?
So I'm figuring you're returning to like Law 96 and Bill 101 and all those. I don't believe in any of that stuff that they're doing. I'm against it totally, 100%. It's a fight we've been fighting on our side, right? So, and I'm happy to be part of that fight because I think it's what they're doing is really trying to change something that doesn't need to be changed, and that was never really a concern. Um, because you're making people inclusive, right? Like you're trying to get rid of people. I think like you're just barring people. um, I always say if you want it to be a one-man island, go find an island somewhere in the report and make yourself, just that one inclusive thing. But we're part of a larger community. When we're part of like Canada and the history of it, we're not just francophones, right? We are everybody. So I think it's important to have that. Um, I my concerns about feeling excluded and targeted. I It depends how I look at it. Is it affecting me immediately right now? I won't say that I am affected right away to it, like certain things maybe minorly because it's still just coming out there. But am I concerned for the future of it? Like that I would probably be one of the targets, probably because of my religion and my color and my nationality. And also because my children have different beliefs than I do too. So will they be targeted? I think so. Will it affect my family? 100%. So I do feel a little bit targeted because, growing up in the Hindu religion and then becoming, with the Hinduism and the Christianity that I live in, right now, it's a big concern. So yeah, it will be, I do feel like a target is coming on my back for that. It's sad, but true.
Okay, so having said that, what in your mind is the biggest problem facing Quebec, and how in your mind do you think it could be resolved?
I think what Quebec is facing right now with all these different laws is our biggest concern, like with the language, the self of belonging, giving people the freedom. I think freedom of rights. People should be able to be who they want to be, no matter where you are in this world. And Quebec and Canada always had that, and I think it's important that they stay focused on that. We shouldn't be making plans to say we want to, like, we shouldn't be not including people or trying to change what has always been who we are, right? So us who are born and raised here, we grew up like this, like in a culture of having anything and everything at our hands. But now to say that you want to take it all away and change that whole lifestyle, it's not fair. It's not nice. It's discriminating to a lot of people. It's I don't know. I makes me frustrated to even think about it. I'll be honest. It's just things I don't like to sing. And I think the biggest problem right now is making people feel included and giving people the rights to be who they want to be. I think Quebec is trying to shove down my throat, saying that you have to be French and you have to do this and you have to do that. And now you're dictating how my life should be when I should have the freedom to choose how I want my life to be. So yeah, I think that's the biggest problem right now.
Okay.
How could it be resolved? People need to stand up. I think more people need to be educated. A lot of people don't understand it. I have a network of parents that I work with, and being part of a lot of volunteer organizations and sitting on education committees with the Quebec Board, like I'm part of QFHSA and the education committee, and we hear so much from different home and schools and my outside charity programs, and we hear it like that. This is something that people need to stand up. Half the people don't understand what they're facing, or they have a different picture because the political people, the government is explaining it in a context that sounds, oh, that's great, but then when it comes out and it starts to unfold, they're like, oh my God, what did we sign up to? So I think there needs to be more education.
Okay, fair enough. Now, the next question, before I ask the next question, have you had an opportunity to see Guy Rogers' film?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, it's
I need
interesting.
to.
I just got off a Zoom with Guy Rogers in an organization called Coffee Quebec, and he was on Coffee Chat presenting a trailer for his film and talking about it a little bit. The reason I bring that up is that in his film, he used a very effective visual tool, and I'm going to use the same one in my next question with his permission. He helped me formulate these questions because his documentary was, it's something that I really aspire to try and emulate. So indicate by a show of fingers from on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being weak, 10 being strongest, how strongly do you feel that the joys of living in Quebec outweigh the challenges?
The joy, how much joy there is, how it outweighs, I would say. What's that?
Okay, fair enough. And finally, Samantha, is there anything else you would like to say about your sense of identity or belonging in Quebec?
I don't think so. I think I've said quite a bit in my questions that I've answered. I think self-identity is important. You have to know who you are and you have to feel belonged. And I don't think anybody out there should make you something who you're not, or who they think should you be, like nobody should tell you who to be. And I don't, we teach children all the time to have self-expression and build confidence, right? So it's the same thing for anybody out there, adults, children, grandparents, whoever. You got to be who you are. Otherwise, I don't know. I think we'd be in a very bad place in this world if we weren't, right? So, and I don't know. I think that's really important. For me, that's what it is.
Well, Samantha, I'd like to thank you very much for participating. It's been a pleasure. And I'm going to stop the recording now, but we can have a little chat afterwards.
Sure.